Hi guys, welcome back to another video from BioBuddy. And in the last two videos, I hope you've seen the last two videos for the digestive system, because it is very important. If you're coming directly to this video, I don't think it's a good idea. First you should go and watch those videos, and then you should come back to this one, because it is covalently linked, right? So you should definitely watch those, and then you should come back to this one. And in that, the two videos, we have talked about the salivary glands, how many types of salivary glands are there, how are they placed, and what is their functioning, what is the composition of saliva, and many other things, and how is the salivary amylase helping in the chemical digestion, and how is the mechanical digestion taking place inside our body. So all these things we have already done, and now we are moving on to the next organ, which is the food pipe or the esophagus. As I've already written it on the board, food pipe of esophagus, as you all must have studied, this is a long tube like structure which is connecting the buccal cavity and the stomach, which is connects the buccal cavity and stomach, right? So it is acting as a common link between the buccal cavity and our stomach. So it is a long pipe like structure. But this pipe, how is it made? It is made up of the longitudinal and the circular muscles, right? So now what is the length? It is 25 centimeters in length, and it is a long tube like structure. It is made up of muscles. Now it has a special reference. Why is it made up of muscles? It could have been made up of different types of things, different types of tissues, different types of cells, but no. Why muscles are present here? Why skeletal muscles are present here? Longitudinal and circular muscles are present here. Why? So we have an answer. What happens is, as you consume food, you mix the food is mixed with saliva. So as the food is mixing with saliva, it is becoming a semi-solid form. So as it is becoming a semi-solid form, what is it known as? It is known as the bolus, right? When the food which we eat, it is in a very complex form, right? So as the food which is being eaten by us, it is in a very complex form, it has to be converted into a simpler form. So how is it converted to a simple form? By chewing, right? That is known as the mechanical digestion. And the another type of digestion is chemical digestion. We have already studied all this, so that is why I'm just referring it to those videos, so that you can just understand what is going on in this chapter, right? So what happens now, this is the bolus, and this needs to be entered into the food pipe, and as soon as it is entering the food pipe, it needs to go to the stomach. For example, if I draw the image here of the food, for example, this is the nasal cavity, your nostrils, your nose, and this is the buccal cavity, right? So what will happen from here? You chew the food, and the food will enter the, here it becomes the bolus. Now what happens? The bolus needs to be pushed down so that it can in turn enter the stomach, right? This is our stomach. So what happens is, how is this pushing movement taking place? As I've already told you that longitudinal and circular muscles are present in the esophagus. So what happens is, these muscles, what do is they push the food forward. They push the food forward. And how are they doing that? For example, imagine this is our esophagus. So what happens is, there is contraction and relaxation, contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation. This is how the muscles move in the esophagus, and due to this movement, the food which is present in the buccal cavity is now being pushed in the esophagus, and now the food enters the stomach. This is the esophagus. So this movement, you can write it down, the movement of contraction and relaxation of esophagus to push the food forward is called, what is it called, guys? It is known as peristalsis. Right, so this movement is known as peristalsis. So this is the two important facts that we have to learn. What is the first one? That it is a long structure. What is it made up of? It is made up of longitudinal and circular muscles. What is the function of the muscles? Pushing the food forward so that the food, which is now called as bolus, can move to the esophagus and then to the stomach. Understood? So now what will happen? What is the movement known as? The movement is known as peristalsis, and if you need to define it, you can say the movement of the contraction and the relaxation of esophagus to push the food forward is known as peristalsis. Right? So we had to learn this in esophagus. Now we'll move on to how is the now we know that what is buccal cavity, what is buccal cavity doing. Now we know that what is esophagus, what is it of esophagus doing. We know the function, we know how is it, contraction and relaxation is happening so that the food is moving. Now what is there? Food is entering the stomach. We have to learn about sphincters also. Here is also a sphincters. Here is also a sphincter. Sphincter is acting as a door to the food. It's acting as a passage. Esophagus is acting as a passage, but these sphincters, right? So this is known as the esophageal sphincter, which is helping the food to enter the stomach bit by bit. Right? When you know that the stomach is already full, what will happen? This sphincter will be closed like a channel gate. Right? Like a channel gate, it will be closed. And as soon as we know that the stomach is empty now, we can pass on more food. So what will happen? The sphincter will open. As soon as it opens, the food part pushes and moves forward in small amounts. Right? So this is the way in which it is happening. Now what happens during vomiting? What happens? There is a backward push of food from the stomach through the esophagus and to the mouth, to the outside of the environment. So what is happening? As soon as we talk about vomiting, this sphincter which I am talking about here, esophageal, gastroesophageal sphincter, you can write down the name if you want to. Write down this side, gastroesophageal sphincter. Right? And guys, if you need to check out the spellings, if you think might be wrong, so do check it out. Please do check it out, because sometimes we're humans, we make errors. So you can just look it up if you want to. Rest, I guess everything is correct. So now we know that food is moving forward. Now where it is entered the stomach. Now let's talk about stomach. Right? What happens is, in case of stomach, we know that stomach is a J-shaped structure. This is the stomach. You can write down the special features. This is a J-shaped structure, sac-like structure, link between small intestines, duodenum, and the esophagus. As we've already studied this, it's acting as a common link between them. Right? So this is the stomach. Right? It consists of 4 parts. So what are the 4 parts now? The 4 parts are basically cardiac, fundic, pyloric, and corpus. Right? Let's just write it down. This is the cardiac, fundic. This whole is the corpus, and this, the ending part, is known as the pyloric. right? So we know the 4 parts of the stomach. First is the cardiac, from which is holding the esophagus, right? From which the food enters the stomach through the esophagus. In which part of the stomach is entering the food? In which part of the stomach is the food entering? Sorry. So it is entering the cardiac portion, right? Fundy portion is usually filled with gases. You will study this afterwards, not right now in such details, it is not necessary, right? So after that, after the fundy portion, it moves to the corpus. Now corpus is known as the largest part, largest parts of the stomach. Next is the pyloric. Pyloric holds the food when it has to move to the next version, and that is the duodenum. This is the duodenum. Duodenum is a part of the small intestine, right? I hope you guys are understanding this unit. Bit by bit we need to move in steps, right? So this is how these are the parts of the stomach, right? So now let's move on. What is present in the stomach, right? So there are certain cells. First is there are a variety of cells which are present in stomach, right? You must know that HCl is present, mucus is present, pepsin is present, but you need to learn them in detail, right? So we will first be learning about mucus neck cells, right? So what is the function of mucus neck cells? That mucus is present in the lining of the stomach. The lining is 3 mm thick, right? So these are known as the mucus neck cells, as they are present and they contain mucus which protects the inner lining of the stomach. You must have studied this before. And why do we need protection? What do we need protection from? Why is the stomach needing protection from inside? Because of the due to the presence of HCl, right? So first is the mucus neck cells. Second is the peptic cells. Peptic cells usually consist of pepsin plus renin, and renin is present below 12 years of age, right? Plus what else do we need? Pepsin, renin, and gastric lipase. Right? So next is, these are the 2 we have done. The last is Gcells factor. This is known as the HCl plus the Gcells intrinsic factor. So these are the 3 types of cells which are present. Now the major function in this is the HCl. We have already studied. We have studied this, I think, from the beginning, from where we have started the digestive system. We know what is HCl. HCl is acidic in nature. So what is HCl doing? HCl is creating an acidic environment. Why is it creating an acidic environment? To kill all the microorganisms, any kind of germs, any kind of bacteria, viruses which are entering the body along with the food, right? So HCl function is creation of an acidic environment in order to pure food, or in order to kill the germs, kill the viruses, whatever is coming, and whatever is coming as a foreign material inside our body. So what happens is it also activates pepsin, right? What does HCl does? HCl, pepsin is present in the form of pepsinogen in the stomach. When the food is not there in the stomach, your empty stomach, it is present in the form of pepsinogen. So as soon as the HCl enters the body, it converts pepsinogen to pepsin, which is the active form. Then it becomes activated, and this is the inactive form, in which it is inactive, right? So these are the steps which are taking place. And now when there is excess of HCl in our stomach, what happens is it creates the acidic environment. Now what is that acidic environment doing? Acidity create karta hai. So what happens is This mucous neck cells, which are present in a 3 mm thickness layer, this help in protecting the inner lining of the stomach from the action of HCl, right? So the last two cells which are left is the G cells and the D cells. Let me just write it here itself. You must have studied about G cells and the D cells. What happens is, first we'll talk about the D cells. There are two types of cells, D cells and G cells. So what happens is, G cells help in the secretion of gastric lipase. What is gastric lipase now? Have you already you must have studied about gastric lipase. It is helping in the digestion of the food components, right? Now we were talking about G cells. They produce gastrin hormone. Gastrin hormone then goes into the blood, helps in the gastric, goes to the gastric glands, helps in the secretion of gastrin lipase. I hope you guys are understanding this. Helps in the secretion of gastric lipase, which is present in gastric juices. And now if we talk about D cells, these are present only in the vicinity of G cells. When G cells are absent, then only D cells can be present. They can be present only when the G cells are absent, right? So D cells help in the creation of paracrine effect, and they release somatostatin. I hope you guys have understood this video very carefully, because this is a very simple video regarding the digestive system. In this we have studied the parts of the stomach, what are present in the stomach, different types of cells, what are they doing, what are the D cells, G cells, peptic neck cells and parietal cells, right, peptic cells, and together they all are known as the oxyntic cells. Together all of them are known as the oxyntic cells. What are the oxyntic cells? Mucous neck cells, parietal cells, which I've already told you as peptic cells, and the third one is intrinsic factor. These together, all three together, they are known as the oxyntic cells. I hope you guys have understood, because we have nearly gone through everything in this unit, and now in the last that I'll be preparing now, it is going to be about your stomach, right? So stay tuned for the last video of stomach, and after that we'll be moving on to the small intestine and the absorption, and how is the absorbed substance being assimilated inside our body. So digestive system itself is a very long topic, it is a very huge topic, but I am creating small videos so that it is easy for you guys to understand that. And if you're not understanding, just pause the video, replay again, and then you can understand it better, right? And start making notes side by side if you feel you should know that, right? So I hope you guys like this video, and click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe, share it among your friends, share it, and make my videos popular. If there is any doubt, any questions, any queries, you guys just mention it in the comment below, and it will be solved soon. Thank you guys. Stay tuned for the next video. Take care.